Stop waiting. 6 things women over 60 need to quit postponing. Here's something nobody tells you about being a woman over 60. The world starts speaking to you differently. Strangers call you ma'am, with a tone that feels closer to goodbye than hello. Advertisers quietly forget you exist. Fashion brands whisper that your style era ended decades ago. And even family members, with the kindest intentions, start asking questions like, "Are you sure you want to do that at your age?" And slowly, almost invisibly, you begin to believe the story. That the best chapters have already been written. That this is the part of the book where the characters just sit quietly, water the garden, and wait for the credits to roll. But I am here to tell you, that story is a lie. I am on the side of 65, and I have never felt more awake, more curious, more certain that the most powerful chapter of my life is the one I am writing right now, not the one that already happened. What I have learned the hard way is this. The life you want is almost never waiting on the other side of permission. It is not waiting for someone else's approval. It is not waiting for the right partner, the right savings account, the right retirement date, or the right opinion from people who have no idea what they are talking about. The life you want is waiting on the other side of your own decision. Today I want to share 6 things that women over 60 need to stop waiting for, because every single one of these silent agreements we have made is keeping us smaller than we are meant to be, and I think it is time we got loud about it. Now before we dive in, stay with me until the end, because I have something at the very end of this video, something free, something I personally created, and I think it might change how you approach the next 6 months of your life. Let's go. Number 1. Stop waiting for permission. Here's something I want you to notice. Almost nothing in your actual life happened because someone handed you a permission slip. You became a mother without asking anyone. You held down a marriage. You raised children. You managed households. Sometimes held a job. Sometimes held 3. You made 1,000 decisions a day that no one approved first. And yet the moment we cross into a certain age, we start acting like we suddenly need a formal invitation to live our own lives. Permission to change careers. Permission to spend money on ourselves. Permission to travel alone. Permission to leave a marriage that has been quiet for too long. Permission to be happy without earning it. Permission to want something for ourselves out loud. Let me tell you a quick story. A friend of mine, I'll call her Margaret, waited 13 years to leave a marriage that had stopped being safe years before. 13 years. Why? Because her mother told her at the wedding, "This is forever, Margaret." And Margaret turned those 4 words into a life sentence. One day, at 62, she took her 2 granddaughters out for ice cream. The youngest, maybe 7 years old, looked up and asked, "Nana, do you ever laugh?" That little question broke her wide open. She called me 2 weeks later and said, "I want to leave, but I want to know what you think." I looked at her and said, "Margaret, I don't think you came here for what I think. You came here for permission to do what you already know is right." She left. That was 4 years ago. Last month I received a postcard from Portugal. She is writing again. She is taking a pottery class. She volunteers at a women's shelter in Lisbon. She didn't wait for permission. She gave it to herself. Mwatara, myand, pongwa, tsaend. Myand, modi. Here is the truth I want you to engrave somewhere deep in your chest. Nobody is coming to hand you permission. Nobody. You do not need your children's approval. They will adjust. You do not need your friends' approval. They will catch up. You do not need society's approval. Society is busy judging itself. You do not need the approval of any person who has never once had the courage to live the life they actually wanted. At some point, and I promise you, that point is right now, you simply have to look in the mirror and say, "This is my life, and I am going to live it. On my terms, with my whole chest." That sentence is the moment everything changes. Number 2. Stop waiting for a partner. Let me say something here that needs to be heard gently but firmly. There is nothing wrong with wanting companionship. Many women would love nothing more than to find a wonderful partner to share this chapter with. A hand to hold. A voice across the kitchen table. A +1 for holidays. That longing is real, and it is beautiful.
Nam is deli min chuan, keeping findings on ting tramite, to tota mat to return 20, some end and talk can on talent, to titane manic curlings, mount up in ink, man in unchan men medant, couldn't come tram pinning canton down, to run canavan pounding giant in plant and ring, sobbing son I'm don't pound and pins. Kim Tanam, so until now, Kim Tan Kim Tam, Kadam Kim Tam Cham Nam Tam Kim Ka, the Ruban Tam Tam, Kaman Tim
They don't go to the concert. They don't join the class. They don't move to the city they have always dreamed of. They don't try new things. They don't even buy the new pair of shoes, because they are waiting for a +1. And if they were being truly honest, sometimes they are even waiting for permission from a partner who doesn't exist yet. Listen carefully to this next part.
Men er den Shoppenweisen, Mandelweisen, nicht gehen Waften, die Wein war, Bumsen, du dann das Schönes, Sang, bin wenn du beim Abficken und kann das, schüttern schon damit, aber mit Verband und dann niemand den Sang und können Menschen, dann brauchen wir dann Tag sein, dann kleiner dann schon Heimat, dann wann sein, aber dann machen wir schon, dann langsam, den Wind haben, dann aber und dann kann dann ganz schon, und kann das dann
If you cannot go see the northern lights until you find someone brave enough to come with you, you will never go. If you cannot join the wine tasting class until your friend agrees to come along, you will never join. If you cannot move to Asheville until you meet a man who also wants to live in Asheville, you will die in your current zip code. The companion you keep waiting for? They are not the missing puzzle piece. They are the icing on a cake you are supposed to bake yourself. Let me tell you about my friend Diane. Diane was widowed at 61. A year later she told me, "I just don't want to do anything alone." So she didn't. She stayed home. She watched hours of television. She waited. A year after that, her doctor said to her, "Diane, you are not depressed because you lost your husband. You are depressed because you lost yourself while you were waiting for a replacement." That sentence hit Diane like a bell. Within 6 months she had traveled to Morocco alone. She took a painting class. She joined a hiking group that meets every Tuesday. She started swimming again after 40 years. And, guess what happened 18 months later? She met a man at that hiking group. They are wonderful together. But here is the part that matters most. Their love is built on top of a life she had already built. Not in life she was too scared to start. If a wonderful partner shows up, beautiful, that is icing, that is a bonus. But you cannot wait around for the icing before you bake the cake.
No, running in fast, no king from so relaxed, in fast to men free, on the heart, so on the top, forever it's all time and
So here is your homework for this section. Make a list of 3 things you have been postponing because you don't have a +1. Then pick the one you are willing to do alone. Do it this month. Do not wait for a text from a stranger who doesn't know you exist yet. You are not half of a couple. You are a whole person, and whole people do whole things. Number 3. Stop waiting to travel. This one is personal to me, because I postponed my own travel for nearly 20 years, for reasons that, looking back, were just excuses for wearing nicer clothes. I told myself I would travel after the kids were in college. Then it was after they graduated. Then after they got married. Then after I retire. And then retirement came. And the trip still didn't happen, because now the excuses had fresh outfits. I'm too old to fly alone. I don't have anyone to travel with. My knees won't manage the cobblestones. Maybe next year. Sisters, we have got to stop letting tomorrow steal our adventures. None of us, not one of us, is promised tomorrow. If you have always wanted to see Alaska, start packing. If you have always wanted to take a river cruise through the Danube, call a travel agent this week. If you have always wanted to stand in Times Square at midnight on New Year's Eve, or see the Eiffel Tower sparkle, or walk through lavender fields in Provence, none of these dreams have an age requirement. I want to say something slightly controversial. You do not have to wait for the perfect travel companion. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is buy the ticket and trust yourself. Because traveling alone at our age is not lonely. It is liberating. I took my first solo trip at 63, 11 days through Portugal and Spain. I went to museums alone. I ate dinner alone. I sat in a plaza in Seville with a plate of jamón and bread and a glass of wine, watching the world move around me. And I had one of those rare blessed moments where I realized, I am actually enough company for myself. I have always been. The confidence you gain from doing something brave like traveling alone does not stay in the suitcase. It comes home with you. It spills into every other corner of your life. You start making different decisions in the checkout line. You start ordering at the restaurant without apologizing. You start looking in the mirror and seeing a woman who can do hard things. That is the gift. And let me say this loudly. There is no age cap on wonder. There is no senior discount on awe. You are allowed, actually, you are required, to keep feeding your own sense of possibility. So here is your action step. Tonight, after you finish this video, open your Notes app. Write down 3 places you have always wanted to see, not someday, within the next 12 months. Circle 1. That is your trip. Book it before you have time to talk yourself out of it. Number 4. Stop waiting to start the business. Oh, this one makes me want to stand on a chair because I have heard the question 1,000 times, and it breaks my heart every single time. Am I too old to start a business? I always answer the same way. Too old compared to what? Too old compared to never. Too old compared to regretting it quietly on your deathbed. Listen to me. I do not care if you are 60. I do not care if you are 65. I do not care if you are 70 or 75 or 80. You are not too old. You are not too late. The world is full of women who started their most important work after 60. Maybe your business is a consulting practice built on 40 years of experience. Maybe it's coaching, finally helping other women the way you wish someone had helped you. Maybe it's an Etsy shop selling the craft you have been quietly doing in your garage for decades. Maybe it's writing the book that has been whispering in your ear since you were 40. Maybe it's teaching. Maybe it's creating content online. The form does not matter. The starting does. I have a friend named Yolanda. She taught school for 38 years. She retired at 62. 6 months later, she called me and said, "I want to start a tutoring company, but I don't know where to begin." I said, "Yolanda, you have taught 3 decades of children. You know more about education than most people with PhDs. What exactly are you waiting for?" 2 years later, her tutoring company had 11 employees. She personally works with teenagers preparing for college. She earns more than she ever did as a teacher, and she told me last month, "I wish I had done this 20 years ago, but I am so glad I didn't waste another 20. That is exactly the right framing. 1 year from today, you will be one of 2 women. You will either be a woman who started the thing, or a woman quietly wishing she had. There is no in-between. There is no neutral position. Either you move forward, or you only get older in place. Technology can be learned. I am a witness to that. I learned to build websites, run an email list, and make videos in my 60s. None of it was natural. All of it was teachable. The skills can be learned. The market can be researched. The first sale can be made. What cannot be recovered is the time you spend sitting on an idea that never gets a real chance to grow.
Yo.
So here is my invitation. Write down one business idea on a piece of paper tonight. Just one. Pick a name for it. Then write down the very first step, not the 15th, not the perfect business plan, the very first step, and take it this week. You don't have to quit your job. You don't have to risk anything dramatic. You just have to start. Number 5. Stop waiting to reinvent yourself. This one might be the most important one we talk about today, because all the other 4 points depend on this one being true. Reinvention has no age limit. Rimini. Many women, especially women over 60, have quietly absorbed the message that reinvention is something young people do, that the era of becoming is over, that you are now in the era of being, and being supposedly means staying the same. That is a lie. And it is a profitable lie for the people selling it. You can become an actor at 60. You can start a YouTube channel at 70. You can write a book at 74. You can move to a new country at 78. You can learn a new language at 80. You can build a new circle of friends at 65. You can create a completely different chapter than the one that was originally written for you. There is no expiration date on becoming. Let me tell you about someone whose story still makes me tear up. Her name is Beulah. Beulah was 71 when she enrolled in her first college class. As a teenager, she had been told she was not college material. She believed it. She married young, raised 6 children, worked as a housekeeper for 41 years, buried 2 husbands. At 70, after her youngest grandchild started kindergarten, she did something she had wanted to do for over half a century. She enrolled at the local community college. She texted me the day she got her acceptance letter. It said, "I got in. I cannot believe I got in." 4 years later, at 75, Beulah walked across the stage in a cap and gown. Her 6 children were there. 16 of her grandchildren were there. 12 great-grandchildren were there. She earned her degree in English literature. She told me that day, They told me I was not college material. I just needed 55 years to prove them wrong. That is what reinvention looks like at our age. It is not loud. It is not flashy. It is just a woman who has decided that the old story of who she is supposed to be is finished, and she is writing a new one. The question was never, am I too old? The question is always, am I willing? Because reinvention begins the very moment you stop identifying yourself by who you used to be. The moment you stop saying, well, I used to be a teacher. The moment you stop saying, well, I used to be married. The moment you stop saying, well, I used to travel a lot. You are not your past. You are yours now, and you now can be anything. So pick one area of your life where you have been living in the past tense. Just one. Career, health, relationships, geography, faith. Pick one, and ask yourself, what would it look like to live this part of my life in the present tense? What would I try if I knew I could not fail? Write that down. Not tomorrow, tonight. Bonus number 6. Stop waiting for your confidence to return. Since you stayed all the way to the end, I want to give you one more. This one wasn't on the original list. This one's on the house. Stop waiting for your confidence to come back.
I'm fast bleeding, feel strong, haunting here now. True clear arms, climb your try my wings, climbing to sky. I'm feeling his plans, torn leave, I must go back to school. His past country, space coming, we this culture, I'm trusting into times. I'm on the afternoon time, I'm not much less, feeling the film, still skinting on time. I'm going to cross, I'm from some
Women tell me, I used to be so confident, I just need to find it again. And my heart sinks a little. Because what they are actually saying is, I am waiting to feel like the old version of myself before I take the next step. Here is what I want you to know. Confidence does not come first. Action comes first. You do not wait until you feel brave to do the brave thing. You do the brave thing, and then one morning you wake up and notice, oh, I am brave now. That is how it works for every woman who has ever reinvented her life. For every Beulah, for every Yolanda, for every Diane. And yes, for me. So if you are sitting there waiting for confidence to return, just stop waiting. Take one small, unglamorous, ordinary action today. One tiny step. It does not have to be perfect. It does not have to be impressive. It just has to be a step. That is how every meaningful reinvention in history has actually begun. Not with a lightning bolt, with a single, quiet, ordinary decision. Closing. So let me remind you of what you just promised yourself. You are going to stop waiting for permission from anyone. You are going to stop waiting for a partner to bring your life to life. You are going to stop waiting to travel and start buying tickets. You are going to stop waiting to start the thing you have been quietly dreaming about. You are going to stop waiting to reinvent yourself and start being who you are about to become. And you are going to stop waiting for confidence, because confidence is simply what happens on the other side of one brave act. Now, about that free resource I promised you at the top, I have created something I am genuinely proud of. It is called the Reinvention Workbook for Women Over 60. It is a guided journal and planning resource that walks you, step by step, through exactly how to design your next chapter. All 6 of the things we just talked about, plus a handful of bonus prompts that nobody is talking about publicly yet. It is free, no strings, no join my list to get the next email. You can download it right now using the link in the description. I created it because I wish someone had handed me something like this at 55, back when I was sitting in my own doubt, waiting for permission I was never going to receive. So please, get it, use it. And then, most importantly, come back and tell me in the comments what chapter you are starting. Because you and I both know the truth. The story was never over. The story was just beginning to get interesting. And this side of 60? This side of 60 is where the woman I always wanted to be finally showed up. She was waiting for me the whole time. She was waiting for me to stop waiting.